and those problems could have been stopped. Like in Electrolux, the most important we got right now is if anything arises, we as the union steward and the union we go to the company, we sit with them, we discuss the issue, and the matter will be solved easily without any strike or any problems. We represent the employee, and the company, they have their own people to represent them. And for us, we have our own people to present us. We settle the matter and we solve the problem. That's the most important thing we have. Having a union and not having a union is two-way different. And I believe those who don't have a union, they have to look for union member so that they can join and maybe this problem can be stopped.
I think Abdikani takes all on today.
Okay, well, there's one other thing that we talked about the other day that I think is really worth bringing up, and that's the question of what you know of other workers in the Somali community who don't have a union in terms of the work conditions and also in terms of more specifically, benefits. The kind of benefits you have at Electrolux are really kind of unique compared to many other immigrant workers, and I thought maybe just kind of compare and contrast what you know of your benefits at your workplace compared to other workers at other plants that are not unionized.
All right. Actually, in Electrolux, we have a lot of benefits like health insurance and some other benefits that an employee has to have. Well, I never worked at somewhere else, but I have a friend who is a woman who works in GGL. When I explained to him about our benefits and how we work in Electrolux and how things are, and I asked him about how he works in there in GGL and what kind of benefit they got, actually there was a lot of difference. Especially, he told me that like when you get employed in GGL, you have to work as a temporary, like a year or 9 months in order to get hired, and you're not sure whether you get hired. Same time, if a problem happens in the plant, like you're working or you have a medical problem, if you go to the supervisor and explain to him, the only thing he can tell you, go to the human resource or go home. When you go to the human resource, you'll be just kicked out. Or you're told, don't come back tomorrow, we're gonna call you. The following day, you just wait for a phone call, nothing. In a week, 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, you know that you're fired already. But here in Electrolux, it's different. If the people have a medical condition, actually there's many things. If you come with a medical, maybe prove that you have a problem, the company itself, they won't let you to do something which you can't. And if you see that maybe someone is trying to force you or trying to tell you to do something which you can't, then you have a union member to represent you. Just forward the matter to the union steward, and these things will be solved easily. But these other places, if the supervisor and the lead man and maybe the manager, they have the same issue, you have nowhere else to go. The only thing is you're going to be 1 in 3. So automatically you're going to lose your job. So that's the most important things we got here in Electrolux, and we have more benefits, and we have a lot of important things than people without a union.
What did your friend say when you told him about the benefits you have in Electrolux compared to the
Actually, he said that in there, he's really, every day he's trying to apply Electrolux. Not that he can, although I think he's just waiting his luck. But a lot of people whom I know right now who are working in Electrolux used to work in Junior. Is among those people whom I've explained to them, and they quit from Junior, and right now they're working in Electrolux. And they can tell us the difference, although some of them we don't have it here, actually. They can tell the difference where they were working and where they work right now. In terms of pay raise, a lot of things. So it's a way different having a union and not having a union is something very, very
that's very consistent with the interviews I've done with Somali workers in St. Cloud. The story they tell is it's almost as though Electrolux, even though the work you do is very hard, it's very strenuous, and like you said, a lot of, you have to have a lot of discipline and a lot of, the strength of mind, as it were, to bear, the regime on a factory floor, wherever you are, whether it's union or not. But the workers that we've interviewed have often told us, that for Somalis, the goal is to, or those who are looking for work in a factory, Electrolux is one of the places that they hope to get to because of the benefits and the protections.
I just want to, first, I like to tell everybody this, wherever I go, school, wherever, I like to tell you that. For those of you who don't know, at Electrolux, we build freezers. And I'm very proud to say that it is the only freezer built in the USA. So if you need a freezer, purchase Frigidaire, Electrolux, Gibson, White Westinghouse. I say that to everybody. But just to touch on, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's what us union activists are. We have loud voices. We don't really need a microphone, but I'll use it. I just want to touch a little bit on Abdikani, how he talked about the benefits at Electrolux, which are negotiated by the union. We have a panel. Everything we do in the union is elected. The negotiating committee is elected. The business reps, such as myself, or our DVR, James Kaiser. We negotiate contracts across the table from the company. As Abdikani was saying about some of his friends working in other places, like the law is anything over 40 hours in a week, you must be paid time and a half. At Electrolux, if you work 8 hours in a day, you get paid. If you work your 8 hours and then after 8 hours, if you, let's say, stay for 4 hours of overtime, that's time and a half. I mean, and if you would get sick and miss 2 days, you don't lose that time and a half of those 4 hours. And then let's just say you work 2 days and you put in 16 hours a day, and then you missed 3 days, and then you came in and worked on Saturday, that also would be time and a half. So those are a lot of benefits that we have with the union that a lot of places who don't have a union don't have that. Some do just to keep us out, but. And holidays, I think we have like 9 or 11 holidays. We haven't been able to negotiate Ramadan as a holiday yet, but the company does accommodate. We all get vacation, and so, and Ramadan falls with the moon and the sun, or how does that work? The moon? The moon. And so, let's just say it's in July, they're not really sure what day it's going to be, but if they just put in a blank piece of vacation paper saying they want Ramadan off, no matter if it's, because we're only allowed 10% per department, but if 150 people want that day off and they put in that piece of paper, the company just totally shuts down a line and accommodates for it. And I don't think a lot of places do that. And we have, defined benefits, which is really an awesome defined pension. There's not a lot of people left who have pensions anymore, and as long as you're vested 5 years, you're guaranteed that pension. It's a 30 and out, so you can work there 30 years, which everybody thinks that's a long time, but trust me, once you get in the door, and it's like, they fly by, then they're 32. And we have, as we talked about, the medical leave. Well, there's FMLA, that's, Family Medical Leave Act, which is a law, but with the union, we help our members enforce. We make sure that things are enforced correctly, where some people, it's a law, and it's illegal for a company to fire you, but a company will find a reason to get rid of you if they can. And so, it's just a difference with the union and representing the members, and we're all brothers and sisters in a union, doesn't matter. And that's what we do.
This is an abstract question, but when we're talking about the problems that Somalis face in St. Cloud in terms of the community trying to become fuller members, fuller citizens, do you think it would help the community if more Somalis at the workplace, where they work, were able to become members of a union? I'm sorry. Do you think it would help the Somali community if more Somalis were members of unions? where they work.
Yeah. Like, helping the community, are you talking about the helping the community?
Yeah, just in terms of, you know, the kind of power or status that you have in the community or,
Yeah, we can recommend it too. And actually, as a steward, we represent all the people. Actually, we don't represent only one side of the community.
Right.
But in general, most especially, like my community, we have a lot of people who works in Electrolux, but the problem is some of them, they have a language barrier. You can give them the rules and regulations of the company, but they don't know what it means. You have to explain to them. Sometimes maybe the person can read but won't understand, especially what it means that word. So they normally come to us and ask us about what it means, and we normally explain to them anything concerning the, anything about the rules, if they need help with something, an issue which maybe is help to the union, we normally help them. As Colleen told you that we are the eyes, so there we are the people who represent them in the field. So generally we are there for them whatever help that they need. Whoever needs help, we're there to help them.
yeah, my sense of it is that, you know, this is the question of union and labor organizing is something that often is kind of left out of the story of the situation of Somalis in St. Cloud and in central Minnesota. But the kind of stories that you've told in terms of differences between your lives, your work situation and other Somalis' work situation who don't have unions, it tells me that part of the problem that you know, the Somalis face here is not only, you know, cultural misunderstandings, but just basic power in the workplace. And one of the ways in which they can experience that kind of power is through a union.
Yeah, actually, those whom I was just telling you right now that who I spoke to them who works in, like those two places I mentioned.
Right.
The problem they have actually is that the problem they have is without having a union, you will never know. Actually, nobody will tell you what is the right. Everybody checks his way that he can get his work to be done. And for you to know your right, you must have people to explain to you what's your right and how you can. If those people are not there, that means you have to go by what you're told to do, or otherwise you will be out of that law. So for them, actually the problem right now they have over there, that's why I believe that it's just not knowing what they were supposed to do or where they were supposed to go and join, maybe to get their rights being help. And actually, I think that they need them to look for a way they can solve their problem. That's the only thing that they can get their fight, just to join the union member, or become a union.
At this time, I just thought maybe we would open it up to questions from the audience. We have about 15 minutes left to this panel. So, and how long are you able to stay for? Okay. Oh, okay. Do we have any question or one? 14 right now. Maybe a question or two.
Yeah.
One question or two about. So you speak far more eloquently than we can. It's a question of work. We don't know anything about it. Well, I don't. Colleen does. Okay, any questions?
How long can a person reapply Electrolux once he was being fired through the union way? He was a member before, and then he was being fired Electrolux. And then how long can he come back to work for Electrolux?
That is a company policy. The union does not fire anyone. It's our job to try to get their jobs back. It would totally depend on why the employee was let go from Electrolux.
Question again.